What is going on, YouTube? SciGuy29 coming at you with another video. Today is another episode of Iowans in the Majors. It's been a while since I've done one of these. I can't remember the last time, and I didn't look it up before we started, but this is... I'm trying to get a graded card of all Iowans that have played the Major. Now, by Iowans, I mean people that were born in Iowa and made their way to the Major Leagues now. Like I said, first one in a while. This is one that is a little more near and dear to my heart because of the history that kind of goes with the person, not necessarily the card. Some of the others have been more about the card than the person. This one's more about the person. This is Gene Baker, as you can see here on this 1961 Topps card in a PSA 4. Here he is pictured with the Pirates. We'll get a little bit more to his career here in a minute. He was born on the eastern side of the state in Davenport, Iowa, which is over in what we call the Quad Cities. The Quad Cities are Moline and Rockford, Illinois, Davenport, and Bettendorf, Iowa. So 4 cities, Quad Cities in the area. Rock Island, Jesus, Peoria. Rock Island and Moline, and then the 2 in Iowa. So he was born on June 15th, 1925. Passed away December 1st, 1999. Played for the Cubs and the Pirates, and I'll get into that a little more as we go. So he was the eldest son of Mildred and Eugene Baker. Lived in the Quad Cities area. And lived back and forth between Davenport, Iowa, and Moline, Illinois. He definitely considered himself an Iowan, as he spent most of his life outside of baseball in the Davenport area. Attended Davenport Central High School, which through the 1960s and early 70s was a power in Iowa high school sports. He was a very accomplished high school basketball player, was a crafty guard. Many consider him the best passer of his era. Was named outstanding player of the state tournament in one of either his junior or senior year. He was named first team All-State as a junior and the most improved player on the Davenport Cage team. He was a clean type of player, they say, fouling infrequently, so alert that he caused opposing guards to foul too much. He was the best passer in the Mississippi Valley Loop, won't turn 18 until June, and it looks like the Army after that. Well, that's not what happened. He did join the Navy after that, where he played both baseball and basketball. First for the Ottumwa Naval Air Station, and then for the Seahawks of the Iowa Pre-Flight School, which was part of the University of Iowa at that time. He continued to play baseball and basketball for those 2 groups of Navy midshipmen, I guess. But so many of the accounts of those days, his race, he was an African American, was part of the articles. A couple years later, he finished up his naval service obligations, returned to Davenport, where he played semi-pro baseball, and he eventually caught the attention of the Kansas City Monarchs. By this time, he'd grown an inch and added 28 pounds to his frame, and he was the Monarchs' regular shortstop in the 48 and 49 season. And early in the 49 season, the Davenport paper wrote, "He's among the Kansas City Stars. Davenport Central's own Gene Baker, sure to grab the notice of Major League scouts." And sure enough, he did that. After the season in 1950, he returned to Davenport, where he played rec league basketball. But in the spring, in 1950, found him with the Chicago Cubs organization. And after a few games of Springfield, in the International League, he was acquired by the Des Moines Bruins of the Western League. And that was the team's first black player in 1950. At the end of June, he moved on to the Los Angeles Angels of the AAA Pacific Coast League. California newspapers reported that the 25-year-old shortstop was regarded as one of the most promising players in the entire Cubs organization. Bobby Brigham, manager of the Angels' rival, the Hollywood Stars, said he was as good a shortstop as I've ever seen, and that includes Pee Wee Reese. Baker lived up to his promise, and on September 1st, 1953, the Cubs purchased his contract from the Los Angeles Angels. It was reported that Baker was the first Negro League player to ever appear on the Cubs' official roster. A week later, the Cubs also purchased the contract of one Mr. Ernie Banks from the Kansas City Monarchs. They were both shortstops at the time when they reported, and eventually one stayed at shortstop, one moved to second base. I think you can figure out which one was which. Gene made his major league debut on the 20th of September, striking out as a pinch hitter in the Cubs' 11-8 loss to the Cardinals. In his rookie season the next year, Baker hit .275 in 135 games. He and Banks both made the Sporting News All-Star, or All-Rookie team, in 57, Baker was traded to the Pirates for D. Fondy, and, with D. Fondy for infielder Dale Long and Lee Walls. Obviously, he was stuck at second base with future Hall of Famer Bill Mazeroski in front of him. Later that year, when he was playing third base, Curt Flood, he says, hit a swinging bunt. I came in and fast, and I must have slipped. There was a crack that sounded like a .30-30 rifle. He was carried off the field later and had to have knee surgery, and he was out of action the remainder of that year and went back to Davenport and spent most of the next 6 months on crutches. They hoped to have him back, the Pirates that is, in 59, but he was eventually put on the 30-day disabled list, made his way back to where he played a little bit, and at that time the Pirates guaranteed him a position for life as long as he wanted it within their organization. Pirates manager Danny Murtaugh said, "This guy knows more about baseball than fellows twice his age. He's one of the smartest guys I've ever met." And during the offseason, he returned back to continue his rehab. Get ready. January of 1960, started work with a group at Southern Illinois University, which eventually, as you'll find out, led to some more later on. During the 60 spring training, he was a non-roster invitee due to the injury, but he did make the roster as a utility infielder, but played only 33 games all season due to the great players that the Pirates had around him at that time. Spring training 61, the club decided to keep Baker and send Dick Gray to the minors. Many complained, but Murtaugh, their general managers at the time, said, "I don't care if Gene Baker's 136 years old. We're making our plans entirely on a one-year basis." So a sports writer accused Brown of favoritism, and actually neither Gray or Brown played very well that year in 61. Gray was the regular third baseman for Columbus. Baker sat on the Pirates bench almost all spring, getting in only 3 games. He played his last major league game on the 10th of June, 1961. And on June 20th was released as a player to make room for Walt Morin, who they had acquired from the Cardinals. The Pirates did keep their promise, and he became a scout, a manager for them. As a matter of fact, in 62, he was a manager of Class D of Batavia in the New York Penn League. Was considered to be the first black manager in that league. Later in 62, he was promoted to the Columbus Jets of AAA International League as a player coach and became the first black coach in organized baseball. The promotion put him once again in contention with Dick Gray, who was also on the team playing third base at the time. Didn't have much luck as a player coach, as he only hit 115 that year. In 63, he was again back in the big leagues, but this time as a coach for the Pirates. And in a game at Los Angeles, Baker made history as the first black or African American to be a manager in the major leagues when both Danny Murtaugh and Coach Frank Osik were ejected from the game. He finished that game up as manager. He went on, and in 74, talked a lot about his scouting, and unfortunately passed away in 1999 from a heart attack on December 1st of that year. So he was roommates with Ernie Banks, and one great story they had with him, and this is all coming from a Sabre article that was written about him, that when he was roommates with Roberto Clemente, and Clemente said he couldn't get himself right because of how horribly Gene Baker snored. And several other people were quoted as saying just how horrible a snorer he was as well. So this is my next episode, I guess. I hope you look forward to it. Hope you learned something about Mr. Gene Baker. He and Ernie Banks remained friends till his passing, and just a fun little look at a man that really helped break some color barriers in a lot of different ways. So until next time, remember, Cy Guy says, collect what you love what you collect.